Purpose Exchange Society. Stephanie, Tania, Ronette, Tanya, Indigo, and Nakia. Where we talk about it.
All the time, but I guess I haven't really been exposed or dealt with like the light skin versus dark skin issue in the Black community. But being biracial, I've never really even had an issue or, thought about, okay, I'm mixed, until I started working with the military, and someone was like, well, you're not really Black, so all the way Black, so you don't count. I'm like, wow, that's when it really hit me, like, I'm not all the way Black.
It is like kind of a topic that doesn't seem to ever go away, like ever. And I'm just like, is there ever going to be a day where, it's not an issue in the Black community where, there's not this need for us to separate ourselves based on color, like, team light skin. There was this thing a little while ago this year, it was this team light skin hashtag and this team dark skin hashtag.
I never even.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, why is this still going on? Why is there still this what's considered a standard of beauty within our community when you have, actresses like Lupita, but it's like a lot of brothers would never date her. People talk about, well, that her skin is so beautiful and this and this and that. But the majority of dudes that I see, I've never really seen a guy date the Lupitas.
I hear a lot of Black women say, well, why he dating, why he can't date a Black woman? Like, and I can't look at it from that standpoint because my mom is white, and if it wasn't for a Black man dating a white woman, I wouldn't be here. But I do understand that some people's way of thinking, some Black men is, I can't deal with Black women because they X, Y, Z. And I think that's screwed up.
In general, they're right. Black women, we are tougher. We do have attitudes. We're raised a lot differently. Honey. We are mouthy. If you just look at the history of Blacks coming to this country, and then when you look at the standard of beauty, it's based on a European standard. So naturally, people who are dark skinned are considered less attractive. Was that the way it was supposed to be? No, but it is. And so it's ugly, it's unfair, I don't like it. I have my own little feelings about it deep down inside that make me angry. But I just try to remember why it is that way. Because when we came over here, the lighter you were, the better you got treated by the slave handlers. All right, so the hateration was already started.
But you talking
yeah, it was already started there.
Uh-huh.
Because, well, and again, I have a lot of feelings about it, so I have to just stay calm. But yeah, I sometimes I don't blame brothers for not wanting to deal with sisters. I really don't. But again, we had babies snatched from our very breast. All right? We had to raise the family alone, still are. In the Black community, we have the highest rates of non-marriage and babies out of wedlock. We don't even marry. You know what I'm saying? So Black women have been doing it on their own for a long time. So then the brother's going to try to step to us and be talking crazy? Yes, we have attitude! Now, the white girls, on the other hand, they come from, most of them, because I come from a two-parent home. Let me not get it twisted. But most white girls in the white community traditionally have a mom and a dad. They can easily say, Dad, I need $10,000. I want to start this business. They're just raised carefree. Don't have a care in the world because mom and dad are going to take care of it.
This is
Black
your perception
girls,
of white.
well, this is my experience.
Okay.
And this is basically what I found. Black girls are more uptight. We are overall a little bit mean. And again, my only comment is if I was a Black guy, I can't blame some of them for being scared of us. A white girl is friendlier, in my opinion. Overall.
Okay. In your opinion, okay.
Yeah, in my
So,
opinion.
I see.
Why you keep she knows about. I really think that it is about perspective. It's about how you grew up, what you were surrounded by, the experiences that you have. And I think all of us here had different experiences. the way I grew up, I had a 2-parent household as well. But I didn't realize that was not the norm until I got to middle school and high school. And it was like, both your parents in the same house? And I'm like, yeah, who your parents is? Like, well, I didn't think about that, you know? And so, you know, and then the whole light skin, dark skin piece, you know, I was always perceived as I'm stuck up, I think I'm cute, and all this other kind of stuff, when in actuality, growing up, I had major self-esteem issues, like major self-esteem issues. I had hair, you know, all the way down to my backside, and I still do. But when I was younger, I did. My natural hair came down so far. I'm mixed between black, white, and Indian. My mom's side is black and Indian. My dad's side is black and white. So it's like I had all this hair. I'm light skinned. I was super skinny. You know, I would get the whole anorexic joke and all that other kind of stuff. And so I had major self-esteem issues. And nobody wanted to be my friend until I think one of the funniest moments was my 8th grade graduation. The person who was supposed to be the accompanist for the graduation did not show up. So all of a sudden, everybody was like, because I could sight read at a very young age, can you play for the graduation ceremony? So now all of a sudden, the entire 8th grade class is, Ronette. Do you see all that salt on my shoulders?
Yeah, right.
So I did not get a chance to walk at my 8th grade graduation because I played for the ceremony.
Wow.
You know, I played for the exact people that, you know, tormented me the entire year. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All of a sudden, you cool with me now because I play for you and I can sight read and I can get y'all out of a rut. That was
honorarium?
Listen. Listen.
That's
I
all
ain't gonna tell you how my mom was at the principal. But you know, I had to just kind of get over it because what I was perceived as is totally against who I really am.
Wow.
I'm very down to earth. What you see is what you get. I tell it exactly like I feel it. You know, sometimes the filter is better than other days. But I'm not pretentious, but because I look the way I look, I'm perceived a certain way. And I think it's an issue with the self-love too, with the light skin, dark skin.
Which I would never be able to understand looking at you because you are light skinned. You are the epitome, you know, of what a middle class black girl would think of is beauty. Now I came from a middle class family and area. So I was used to seeing moms and dads of you know, black people, but a lot of people who are from, you know, the inner city, they don't have that to look at. So, you know, I'm sorry, because I would have been your friend. I would have thought you were totally rocking.
As a you know, I'm kind of in the middle. You know, I do, you know, consider myself a dark skinned black woman, but I know, like, you know, my mom is really dark skinned, and you know, my dad, rest his soul, you know, he was lighter and you know, really bright green eyes like your shirt. And you know, I used to get the whole like, well, you know, you would have been so much cuter if you had your, you know, stuff like that you know, people would say, or
and that messes children up.
It does, because I wanted to be dark skinned.
you know, I wasn't messed up. I think it was, like you said, it comes from home. Like when you're constantly, you know, things are instilled in you, your self-worth is instilled at you at home. And my parents were divorced by the time I was 7 years old. But I never, you know, I didn't come from a household where, you know, my dad was saying that, you know, something looks better than, you know, dark skin, or, you know, people come up in that environment where, you know, you hear your grandmother say, you know, I have friends that have told me, like, my grandmother actually said that my sister is prettier than me because she's light skinned, you know, and stuff like that. I didn't have that experience in my home. I was built up. Yeah, like, I didn't, you know, I'm just using that as one example, you know, I didn't get like the "you're ugly" thing or something like that all, you know, all the time or often, but, you know, when people would see my dad and they would see my mom, you know, it was like a mixed review, if
But
you will.
did you internalize that a little bit? Because like I said, I didn't get the
Right.
judgment of, oh, you are mixed. I was always accepted in the black community.
Right.
But I kind of internalized that a little bit, like, wow, is that how people see me, you know, on both ends of the spectrum. Like, you're not really white, you're not really black, you know.
Coming from the vanilla chick in the room, I'm full vanilla, full cream.
Are you sure about
I think
that?
so. But I honestly did not get any kind of, and for me to even pretend that I understand what the black woman goes through is a joke to me. Like I, you know, just the history of America and all of that, white has always been more privileged. That's
Right.
just the
That's
truth.
the
And no
reality.
matter how many white people want to act like it's not, it is. Point blank, stop being stupid.
Wow.
So for me to pretend like I can even relate to any of this is just ridiculous. I don't even know how to even go down that road. But I can say that the only time I ever felt maybe an ounce of what you guys felt, like an ounce, is when I became a recording artist and started traveling in the DMV. A lot of people who had heard my music thought that I was black, and when I would show up at these all black churches and I was this pasty little redheaded chick, I definitely got the, you know, like the, and then by the time I got off stage and they realized, oh wow, the anointing can work through a pasty chick, they were like, okay, she cold.
I can't.
Like, I'll invite you back. But I have found, and that's something that you said, and not that I was offended, I'm not somebody to pull the whole racism white black card. That's not me, and maybe that's because I just don't go down that road.
Right.
But you know, I had so many people that look at me and see my 4 beautiful kids, because they are beautiful, and I know I'm partial, but they good looking kids, and my husband, and they're like, oh, your life is just so together and everything's great and everything's fine, and look at you, you're cute, and blah blah blah, and you sing blah blah. And the reality is, my history, I did not grow up with a functional family at all. And I went through things that inner city, as we've taught, not that everybody inner city is black, but the black inner city community would never knew was going on in the suburbs. And I think sometimes that offends me, because I feel like just because I'm white doesn't mean I had it easy, and it doesn't mean I had it privileged. I don't know my biological father. I went through sexual, mental, verbal abuse. I had drug dealers living in our home at one point. My childhood was not a privileged white
So
childhood.
you weren't the person
The
that she was
token.
speaking of.
Exactly.
Right.
That was
Calling
not me.
dad for $10,000.
Now, on the outside, I looked that way. I was an all-star basketball player. I was in the musicals. I was, you know, everyone knew who Steph was. And on the outside, everything looked right. My house was in beautiful little suburbia, a nice big house, a dad who made a lot of money, who wasn't my dad, who people didn't know wasn't my dad. So everything on the outside portrayed that white girl that has everything she ever wanted and needed. But the brokenness that was happening inside my home was devastating. And so for me, that's where I experienced it, is when I became a recording artist, and for the first time in my life began to be vulnerable and open up about those parts of my life. And I would actually have, and I say black people, it's happened with white as well, but when I would go to all black churches, that's the majority of where I've gone to minister. And I like glow in the dark. I'm like up here with my pasty white, like red, you know, there I am, flash spot, you know. So, but I would be down at the altar praying with people, and they're like, you don't understand, you know, you're white, you had it perfect. I can't tell you how many times that's been said to me.
Wow.
You're white, you're this. And I finally, one time, I walked up off the altar and I said, give me the microphone. And it was the first time I shared my testimony. I said, everybody sit down, because I'm done with this. You're perfect. Everything looks beautiful. You're great. You have 4 beautiful. You have no idea what I walked through to be where I'm at today.
Right.
And just because my skin is white and I lived in a pretty little house does not mean I was privileged. I was just as broken. I was just a different color while that brokenness was happening.
From white woman to white woman, because I grew up in a predominantly white area, and so
Yeah.
I would hear the white girls in the bathroom, and they were like, "You're a fake bag. That's not even a real tan," and they're like going back and forth about this stuff, and I'm like, "What?"
You know
And
what?
they're like, "Tanya, you're so lucky. Your hair doesn't move.
Like,
It's like dog. It's like dog hair. It doesn't move. We have to hairspray ours," and I'm like, "Yeah, it doesn't move."
Lord have mercy.
So, do you guys have that same type of? Is it like the blonde versus
I
the
think they
brunette,
do.
or the tan versus?
if I'm being honest, white girls, at least what I have found, they are just too competitive. I mean, they just don't. I have found that I've seen a lot of black people, women especially, are willing to come together.
Wow.
White women, I feel like they're not, like, you don't hear a white woman call her sister, because they don't process like that.
Wow.
Like, it's a constant competition. It's a constant, there's no unity that I have found. So I very rarely have seen
feel
that.
comments coming
So
in.
I very right, and I'm sure like the black community has that cattiness too. Like I've seen that too. in the
Women are
community.
women.
Right.
Bottom line, we're
Right.
women are women.
But it's just with white women, I have noticed when I've gone to black churches, all black churches, I've noticed the women will worship together. I've noticed they'll pray together. I've noticed there's a unity and a sisterhood at times, whereas I have seen that a lot less in the all-white churches. And I don't know why that is. I don't know. Maybe you guys
It's a
feel
culture
bonded because of the
thing.
history and the
It's
culture,
a
right?
cultural thing.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just even the word sister and brother.
Right, yeah. You weren't gonna
That-
go in a
that
white church
goes-
like, sister,
right.
they'd be like, what you, I'm not your sister.